Hey everybody, Bungie just dropped another pre-twab out of nowhere on Bungie.net talking about ability changes coming in Lightfall and the future of 3.0 builds. Some of the stuff they mentioned today is completely unshocking, and other stuff I was very surprised by, including the addition of brand new fragments. I'm not gonna lie to you people, some of the things Bungie's bringing into the game sound kinda OP, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll take a few minutes to update you on all the important changes coming in Lightfall and you can decide for yourself. But quick question, you have a phone, right? Then why do anything other than play Raid Shadow Legends? It's easy. A strong champion can help carry you through the campaign and dungeons and help level up the other champions on your team. Joining a clan can give you access to a bunch of cool features, including the clan shop and clan vs clan tournaments where you can earn awesome rewards. Don't forget to upgrade your champions with artifacts to make them stronger. Experiment with matching sets of artifacts to get powerful stat bonuses and special effects like the ability to regain health whenever you deal damage to an enemy's HP. Are you struggling on what to do next? Go check out the progress missions. They give you a steady stream of things to do that'll introduce you to the different parts of Raid and give you some awesome rewards for doing so. New players, it's time to vote on your favorite starter champion. Download Raid from my link below, copy your in-game player ID and go to championselektplarium.com. Use your player ID and then vote for your chosen champion. That's all you gotta do. The vote goes until February 10th, with all eligible entrants being in with the opportunity to win awesome in-game and real-life prizes, including epic and legendary champions, in-game items, and even an Amazon gift card worth up to $1,000. Don't worry, if you're an existing Raid player, you can still get involved. Head to championsselect.plarium.com where you can find a special promo code that everyone can use for a small in-game gift. Raid's got a ton of great events this month. There's Forge Pass Season 7, more events where you can earn anniversary points as part of the 3-month-long 4th Anniversary Titan event, various Valentine's Day activities for you loved-up summoners, and more. If you're looking to take your arena team up a notch, this month's Prime Gaming drop for Raid features Genbo the Dishonored, a powerful Void champion who is really strong. He's available until March 2nd, don't miss out. New players, use my link or scan the QR code right here and get a free starter pack with this cool in-game loot. There's no better time to download. Check the link in the video description, and thank you again, Raid Shadow Legends. Alright, we back. First up, Bungie's making the following change focused on passive cooldown gains. Bungie's goal with ability uptime in both PvE and PvP is to get back to roughly where they were when the 30th anniversary pack launched, rescaling the effectiveness of discipline, strength, and each class ability stat on grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration rates. In general, the regen factor provided by a tier 10 stat in Lightfall will roughly be equivalent to a tier 8 in the previous system, aka right now. TLDR, those cooldown times are getting a nerf. Each stat will now provide a more consistent gain in cooldown reduction rather than heavily spiking at the lower tiers. Bungie admits that the change may look like a lot on paper, but they believe the overall build crafting improvements coming in Lightfall will more than make up for this change. Moving on to include armor mods in the conversation. Starting in Lightfall, you'll be able to run all of the following ability energy generating mods at the same time and more freely be able to socket multiple copies of each. Bomber, Outreach, Impact Induction, Utility Kickstart, Melee Kickstart, Grenade Kickstart, Invigoration, Insulation, Innervation, Hands-on, Ashes to Assets, and Dynamo. Kinda wild to think that you'd be able to run all of those at the same time, but I digress. On top of that, armor mod energy costs have been reduced across the board, and artifact mods no longer need to be slotted into your armor, giving you more freedom to build craft. In a sentence that I'm not really hyped to read, so much is changing in Lightfall that Bungie fully expects players to find mods and perk combos that they aren't anticipating. Hopefully nothing game-breaking, Bungie, right? I mean, I'm just saying, y'all tested this to a somewhat thorough degree, yeah? I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm just kind of laughing nervously over here, hoping that somebody doesn't find some wild OP armor mod combo 2 days before the new raid. Anyway, Bungie will also be adjusting the base cooldowns of some grenade, melee, and class abilities. No real info yet, they'll give more in the patch notes when Lightfall drops, but to give you a little taste of what they're doing, they're reverting the base cooldown change to the Hunter dodge that was recently made, as they feel that their cooldown under the new stat scaling system is in a good place. Hunter mains out there, go ahead and rejoice that your dodge cooldown won't be as long as you were probably fearing it would be a minute ago. Moving on to changes to roaming supers, which Bungie believes have kind of taken a backseat in PvE content lately, especially in higher difficulty activities. They mentioned that adjusting roaming supers is not going to be fully taken care of right away. It's going to be a process, but the first step they plan on taking in that process is to tweak the amount of orbs of power that drop from roaming supers. They're upping the number of orbs of power power that can be created via defeating targets with a roaming super from 5 to 7, and they are lowering the number of orbs that can be made via defeating targets with a one-off super from 7 to 5. Orb of power generation from Well of Radiance, Ward of Dawn, and Shadow Shot will be unchanged. They're also tweaking the only 3 supers in the longest cooldown tier and are reducing their base cooldown by 1 tier. TLDR, Hammer of Soul, Daybreak, and Spec Blade are getting over a minute shaved off their cooldowns across the board. Now, I'm mildly worried about that, especially with Spec Blade, which I firmly believe to be one of the best supers ever in PvP. Kinda nervous about 1 minute being shaved off that super, but maybe it won't be as bad as I'm thinking, as it's still kind of a long cooldown overall. And now, the one you've all been waiting for, Ward of Dawn, aka the Titan Bubble. With more objective-based PvP modes like Iron Banner Fortress, Zone Control Trials, yada yada yada, Bungie feels that Titan Bubble is way too OP right now, which I agree with. They plan on tweaking Titan Bubble, but not in a way that ruins it for PvE players, which is nice. First, they are chopping down on the bubble health by a lot, about 40% overall, if you can believe it. However, PvE enemies will deal reduced damage to the bubble again, so it'll only change in PvP, not PvE. In addition to that, all weapon types will now deal a flat 1.5 times extra damage to a Titan bubble in PvP, and Armor of Light, aka the buff you get while in the bubble, is being weakened too. More damage resist in PvE, which is nice, but lower health by 125 and the ability to now take crit damage when in your bubble. TLDR, Bubble Titan is going way down in viability. Somebody check on my boy DFP and make sure he's all right. I already made a video on how to deal with Bubble Titans without using your super. Check that out if you haven't yet, by the way. But pretty much now you should have way more confidence in running in there and challenging a Bubble Titan. I mean, hell, you may even be able to flat out shoot a bubble to death and pop it with weapons alone between the reduced health and the 1.5 times extra damage taken from all weapons. But you have my word, when Lightfall comes, I will do an updated bubble popping video to see how thin the new Void Bubble really is. Thundercrash is extremely good in high-level PvP right now, so the mighty eye of Bungie is now glaring at it too. Several changes coming to T-Crash, including shorter flight time, having your descent begin earlier, and reducing landing detonation size by players only by about 20%. They're also kind of changing the size of the damage zone around you when you're in flying mode by 20% and pushing it to the front. Basically meaning if you want to kill someone in mid-air when you're in missile mode, you'll have to accurately fly right through them to get that kill rather than vaguely flying by them and getting a free kill out of it. Oh, and Fist of Havoc is getting a PvE damage buff by 20%. Overall, I think that's a pretty harsh change to T-Crash, but at high-level PvP, you see it being used a lot for how easy it is to use. Great cooldown and an easy super to just casually throw out early and nuke half the enemy team if used the correct way. Overall, I do think it's a good change, but time will tell. The Spark of Resistance Fragment is getting tuned down, which I think is a good idea, mainly because it's kind of just too easy to take advantage of. Starting in Lightfall, you'll now need to be near 3 people instead of 2 to activate it, and the linger time has been shortened by 2 seconds. I think that'll make it much less viable in PvP, but again, I'm not really complaining. Daybreak, the Warlock super, is kind of lackluster right now, so super energy cost is being lowered per each swing, and PvE damage is going up by 25%. That is actually kind of awesome. I may have to go into the vault and dust off the old Dawn Chorus exotic helmet for Lightfall. Phoenix Dive is getting tweaked too, which is great because that ability is piping hot dog shit. Shorter base cooldown by a lot. When Heat Rises is active, Phoenix Dive restoration duration increased from 1 to 3 seconds. That may be really interesting, translation problematic, in PvP, but we will see. When you're in your super, even shorter cooldowns for Phoenix Dive so you can do it rapid fire, and more damage when you do so. Up to 220 damage actually, meaning you can literally pop Daybreak super and then start Mario butt slamming people from the air. No word yet though on the most annoying drawback of Phoenix Dive, which is the fact that right after using it, you can't slide on the ground for a few seconds. No idea how that's still a thing. One of the main reasons I actually don't use Phoenix Dive. In a move that has Eager Edge trolls absolutely fuming, Bungie is making a really weird change. Starting in the Lightfall mid-season update, so halfway through Season 20, you'll take damage from getting thrown into walls, but it will generally be non-lethal damage. You'll be left at around 1 HP instead of getting flat out murdered by a wall. This is kind of funny. My Twitch chat was immediately hyped about not getting smacked around in PvE by Phalanx Cabal, but I was 100% focused on not getting trolled by douchebag teammates anymore, none of which I will mention by name, of course. I mean, they'll still be able to yeet teammates off of cliffs with Eager Edge and whatnot, but yeah, no more lethal collision damage. damage, which I think actually might be nice. I've kind of heard mixed feedback on this one, but that's kind of weird. I thought it would be more widely accepted. Are there really that many people out there who super enjoy throwing their friends into a brick wall? Let me know what you think down in the comment section, but I'm kind of excited about that change. Moving on, Bungie is updating a bunch of current fragments and making some brand new ones. They're mainly adjusting the old ones to tie into the new subclass pickups, aka Void Breaches and Fire Sprites, which we will get into. In the Arc department, 2 new fragments, Spark of Instinct and Haste. For Instinct, when critically wounded, taking damage from nearby enemies emits a burst of damaging arc energy that will jolt targets. That definitely sounds really fun for PvE. In PvP, it kind of sounds like pocket feedback fence, but we'll see. Spark of Haste, you have greatly increased resil, recovery, and mobility when running. Depending on how much you get, that is awesome. You could, in theory, get a bootleg quad 100 armor build, depending on how much of a buff you get from that fragment. For Solar, Fire Sprites are the new solar pickup thing and give you extra grenade energy when you walk over them in-game. We got the brand new Ember of Mercy. When you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration, and picking up a Fire Sprite grants restoration. We also got the brand new Ember of Resolve. Solar grenade final blows will cure you. That is really good news for all the Starfire Protocol Fusion Grenade Warlock players out there. Like, very, very good news for people who already play that build. Ember of Tempering will now create a Fire Sprite on solar weapon kills when active, which also seems very good. Literally just generate Fire Sprites for free with solar weapons. Callus Mini Tool, it's your time to shine, buddy. Ember of Combustion now creates a Fire Sprite on solar super defeats, and Ember of Searing now creates a Fire Sprite when defeating scorched targets. Ember of Tempering or Ember of Searing paired together with the Ember of Mercy seems like a very easy do little work and stay alive forever type of PvE build. I'm hoping it'll be slightly more complicated than that, but yeah, looking incredibly good on paper right now. And again, with Ember of Resolve, no joke, I'm playing a Starfire Protocol Warlock on day 1 of Lightfall. On the Void front, Void Breach is the new Void pickup thingy. When you pick them up in-game, you will get class ability energy. We got the brand new Echo of Cessation. Finisher final blows create a burst of void damage that causes nearby enemies to become volatile. Defeating volatile targets will create a Void Breach. That one seems really fun. We also have another brand new fragment, the Echo of Vigilance. Defeating a target when your shields are depleted gives you a temporary void overshield. What the Bungie, I don't know how strong the Overshield is yet, but that's not the point. What are we doing out here? I know, nobody likes the guy who complains before the new thing even drops into the game, but real quick, let's review. For defeating a target when your shields are broken, you get a Void Overshield. You are literally going to be rewarded with a free Overshield for just killing an enemy in PvP if your shields are broken. That is straight up free one-eyed mask for any Void class. I don't get it, man. What Void player would go into PvP and not run that fragment? It's going to have like a 100% usage rate in PvP if you're a Void main. Maybe Bungie's hoping that most people will be rocking Strand because it's fun and new. But seriously, Jesus Christ, I'm going on the record that I do not endorse Echo of Vigilance. I mean, yeah, I'm probably going to use it because it's going to be broken as but I don't endorse the fact that they're making it. I think it's a bad idea. Players already hate Overshield spam in PvP, and this is the most free Overshield spam I've ever seen in my life. Again, I don't want to be conductor of the complaint train, but already calling it on Twitter, when Strand hype dies down, Echo of Vigilance will 100% be a problem. Echo of Domineering will now make a Void Breach when defeating a suppressed target. Echo of Harvest will now create a Void Breach when defeating a weakened target with crit damage, and Echo of Starvation will now grant Devour on picking up a Void Breach. Echo of Starvation sounds great for endgame PvE, very much the Void edition of a Stay Alive Restoration Solar Guardian. Go ahead and put that on your list for day 1 raid loadouts for sure if you're going to be a very voidy boy. Overall, a lot of interesting changes that I'm looking forward to and some that I'm pretty worried about, but I would love to hear from you. Do you think Echo of Vigilance is going to run wild in PvP? Do you think it'll be fine? Any thoughts you have on any other changes we went over today, please let me know down in the comment section. I want to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on stream.